guess what? 2 weeks in a row we got Chad back, and he is going to take the slime that we started with in the first video, and we're going to make it look more, well, slimy.
Yeah.
We're going to make it look more slimy. So we're going to show you some more tips and tricks for those of you following along that are wanting to create your first creature. We are also throwing a side ball at Chad because I switched operating systems on him. Remember last week we were using Mint. This week we're using Ubuntu. And part of that is just to show you that it doesn't matter what version of Linux you're using. You can do this in any of them. We're using Torque, Blender, and GIMP. And then we're downloading some files and textures online just to make it easy. But you could go and create, obviously, your own textures and things that we talked about in the first video. We've increased the technology on this show. Thanks to all the viewership and all the subscribers, we now have the money to have that fancy thing over there. See, as he's pressing buttons, it actually tells you what he's doing. We were able to download the file that allowed us to do that and show that. So just the technology that we have on this show is incredible, don't you think? I mean, the things we do, it's amazing.
It's hard for me to understand it, actually, to be quite honest. It's
so
just like...
we've advanced our technology, and now I will let Chad, who is the creator of Gods and Nemesis, show you guys about this creature. And eventually we're going to put this little creature into the game, Chapter 2 of Gods and Nemesis. So, all right, what are we going to do here to make this look more like a slime and less like a UFO?
Yeah, it does look like a UFO right now, and you'll notice that it also has faceted edges, so I wanted to go over some things. So first I wanted to show you what it looks like in Torque. So we had to redo this model, and so I quickly remade the model. It wasn't a complex model, as you remember. We're just doing one thing at a time, and so I put it into Torque here, and I'm running around, and I'm going to show you also this material properties manager. And so as you can see, it's clear. I can do all kinds of crazy things on the side here, but I just want, let me go ahead and take the transparency off. We don't need that right now. We need to see what it actually looks like. And we're going to go over something called a normal. So we'll go ahead and trash that for right now. Now look, you can see that it has these faceted sides, and that's not very organic looking. If you were making certain types of machines, or maybe a mech for your game, maybe you would want those machined or those faceted sides. So let's go ahead and take care of that real quick by going back into Blender. Okay, so here we are. We have our creature here. What we need to do is I kind of want to smooth over that top edge there. So I'm going to select the faces on the top. It's a little bit too sharp.
And you're just right-clicking to select them using the middle button in order to move around with the camera stuff.
That's right. So on the side, it's under Tools, and we can hit Smooth Vertex. And it just does a little bit of a calculation. You can hit it again. It kind of smooths it out. It's not too sharp anymore. These edges here are a little too sharp, I think. So I'll just bring that in by hitting the G key. I'm going to move down and kind of smooth that one out. I probably will want to add some more vertices. So on the top here, you have how many faces we have. That's all the little squares. We have a total of 24. I try to keep a model within 2,000 to 5,000 range. So it's completely safe to go ahead and add another thing of faces by hitting loop, cut, and slide. And the more faces you add, the more smoother you can make this. So let's go ahead and go to the edge of the slime. Now if you hit Shift Alt and right click, you can select an entire ring at one time. It makes it a little bit easier. You get used to that. I'm going to go over to the top, size it out a little bit. I think it's time for the second section there. Okay.
Nice.
So now we're starting to get a little bit better of a shape. So when you have time, if you're making the slime creature along with us, then you're going to take the time to smooth it out the way you like. So there are some certain tools. That's pretty much what I'm wanting to show you with that. And if you hit grab, notice how this is not flat. Hit G for grab, size, Z for the Z axis, hit 0, and that's a little trick. So now that's nice and flat. I probably will make this a little bit less symmetrical because this is a slime creature, but those are things we can do later on. Now let's go ahead and export this. First you need to save it and export Collada, and we exported it into the Torque game engine here under monsters. So ours was Torque 3D, art, shapes, monsters. We made a monster folder, if you remember correctly, and we want to overwrite this. I think it was called Slime Test the last time when we created the first slime creature. But this one's much better. So we'll go ahead and export that. And let's see what we have for Torque. Okay. So I think what we have to do is close down Torque and reopen it in order to have it understand that there's a new creature here. So yeah, let's go ahead and save that first. And quit. And so let's go ahead and where's our slime creature? See, it's a little bit better.
A little bit smooth. Looks like a rock.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks a lot less like a UFO, much more smoothed out.
And so, but you notice that it's still faceted. So this is another thing that we're going to have to do. I'm going to close this again. I know it's kind of annoying. We don't have it set up exactly correctly. Normally Torque would accept it back in each time that
You just had to mention that, didn't you? That I installed it wrong in Linux and therefore it doesn't...
It may not be installed wrong.
That's what you're saying.
I swear, I'm not saying that.
That's it. I'm taking your Heineken away.
That's what happens.
My Heineken now.
All right, so now I wanted to show you a shader or a special ability of Collada to actually make this less faceted and more organic looking. So on the side here, where is it? Under shading and UVs, make sure you selected all the faces by going into face mode first. You can hit A, it unselects, hit A again, it selects all the faces, makes it easy. Hit smooth faces, smooth edges, smooth vertices. Notice that it's already smooth in Blender. Now we need to save it and export it. I don't think I exported that right.
Finally, something's your fault.
Oh, rub it in. Nice. Unbelievable. I don't even know why I work here. All right, let's go back into Torque.
Your Heineken's delicious, by the way.
Oh, I imagine so.
Did you know that in 1873, Gerald Heineken founded this place? Heineken should sponsor us, don't you think?
They should.
It'd be nice. Heineken, if you're watching, I'll accept a sponsorship.
Let's see, where's that slime creature? Notice that it's starting to look a little bit more organic.
Oh yeah, that's a big difference there.
Let's bring
you
this
get the
one.
scene tree out of the way.
I don't know why I put it in the middle there, but it did. All right, so we have a lot of work to make this slime creature look, amazing. But I wanted to show you now the texturing part. Now the part of shaping it and everything that you got to take your own time with whatever creature that you are formulating. You have to take the time, and that's necessary to move the vertices around and things that I showed you in the last video.
It's your piece of art.
That's right. So obviously I'm not going to stick with this for my game. I wanted to, by the time I'm done, it's going to look completely different. And generally you want to write down the various features of the creature that you're making in order to try to implement those things as you're creating the creature. So here in the material property, you select what creature you want and select the material editor. Notice you have all kinds of editors. So we have the material editor, and notice the diffuse map. It's a strange word, but that's the main texture that we wrapped around this creature in video 1. There's also another strangely named entity called a normal map. So let me show you. In GIMP, there's a way to get a utility that allows you to make normal maps, but you can also download them. I would recommend learning how to make your own normal maps. And there's tutorials that's beyond the scope of this that I want that you need to take a look at. But where's that Firefox? Okay, so if you do a search for normal map textures, you'll get all kinds of crazy things like this. You generally want a 512 by 512, and you start to get an understanding of what this does. It actually creates almost like a bump map. It kind of makes the surface more unique. Notice that the surface we have here is kind of boring. So we want to add something in. Maybe that looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and download that one.
Let's save it in Monsters.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and we'll keep it the same name. Is it JPEG? Okay. Let's see. Now we'll go back to the creature. Let's go ahead and add one in.
Now you add this into Torque instead of doing it in Blender uniquely. Could you do the textures within Blender?
The diffuse map you can do with Blender. Actually, Blender allows you to mess with the creature any way you want. Collada exports, as far as I know, it only exports the diffuse. So I use Torque then to add all the other textures.
Okay.
There might be a pipeline in Collada, I'm sure there is, but I never utilize that. This to me is actually much easier because I can see what effects it has in real time in accordance to the Torque game engine. Let's see. Good, and use that. Now notice the texture.
That's awesome.
A lot better, huh?
So it looked like a unicorn coloring, I don't know, cotton candy pattern that you were downloading. And it still looks like that over here under the normal map. But
it has a tremendous effect on it.
Basically, it's a sub-layer to the texture you already create, to the coloring that you already added to it, the diffuse map, to make it have that texture there. That's so cool.
You could also put in a second detail map, which actually increases the texture even more. The bump mapping is what I used to call it.
So if you add one of the other ones we download, what happens?
Let's try that. Uh-oh. It doesn't like me clicking on the pictures, so it might have, it doesn't like that. So let's go ahead and restart that.
Well, darn.
We'll go ahead and redo it. Okay. I have to remember not to click the picture portion, but to hit the edit portion.
Because of how I installed it, go ahead and say it. We know.
It's because how he installed it. It's ridiculous.
If you had another Heineken, I'd take that too.
Punishment around here is severe.
Yep.
It's okay. We'll go right back through it. And actually, this will serve as a reminder of what we did. So we went back, clicked on the creature, hit the material editor. Let's go ahead and hit edit. And then art, shapes. Where's monsters? Where are you? And we downloaded a Petra. Something. Okay. So we now have that fancy map. Let's go ahead and save it. Now let's go ahead, and the Specularity Map provides gloss kind of type of effects. So I'll show you that. And let's see, let's do this.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it.
that is crazy.
That is so vibrant.
Oh, detail normal map. This is something different. Actually, you can add more detail, but it doesn't use colors, and if you put colors in it, it really messes it up, as you can see.
So we can just undo that with the delete. Nice.
And we'll go ahead and the detail map, on the other hand. Okay. Which one do we want? That one. Okay. Adds even more detail.
Look at that. That's so cool.
So now I wanted to show you specularity. Specular. Now notice there was immediate change in the kind of the glossiness. You notice a little bit of a gloss to it. Well, I can add more strength. There we are. We're starting to get to be
cool.
more and more.
It's starting to look slimy.
Yep. That might be a little too much. Now this is the default how specularity used to work, but you can also make your own specularity map. So if you don't like how it places the lighting, you can make your own map that is mostly a grayscale map that will determine how to place and overlay the colors.
Is that lighting based on the cameras that you have within Torque? If I move the cameras around or the sun?
It's based upon the lighting, but also based upon your detail normal map and your normal map.
Okay.
So the bumpiness of those are important for the engine to understand how to create that lighting. So we have that so far. We'll go ahead and save our work. Starting to look a little better. And then here's another area where we can mess around with. I kind of want a clear slime.
Right. That way when it's absorbing and killing everything, you can still see it inside of it. I mean, that to me is a slime, you know?
I mean, we can do it. We'll do it.
Let's do it. Right now.
All right. Now, that's a little too much, obviously. You don't want shadows. That's not necessary. Eventually, we can mess around. Get the right one. That one's really weird. Normally, it would be this one. Or it would be lerp alpha. It's starting to look funky.
It kind of went back to the original texture.
Yeah.
Black.
I don't really like that. There we are.
That's cool.
Starting to get it a little bit. Just know that you have the ability to make transparencies. And also, in GIMP, we have that original texture. So you might want to pull in the texture in GIMP and make modifications. Like I wanted to add an alpha channel in order to allow transparency to happen, because originally it came in as a JPEG. So here we go up on the top under layers, transparency. I already added the transparency. I would add the alpha channel. It's also called an alpha channel, actually. And undo the eraser, and then I go and select the eraser. I adjust the opacity just a slight bit, and this is how much it will erase. So if it was all the way, if opacity was all the way up, it erases everything. I don't want it to do that. So if I put opacity about that much, I can go over.
So you start making the material itself a little bit more clear.
Right. So now Torque will have a better understanding of how to deal with this. And that might have been really what the main issue was. Export the slime test. There we go. And let's go back to Torque. Well, it's becoming a mess. There we go. Now here's the alpha channel.
Now, does it auto update here, or do we need to reload it?
That's what I'm wondering. I think it. Oh, there we go. We'll go ahead and save our work. And on the side too, we have the ability to manipulate the image if you wanted to do something like that.
Oh, neat. That puts animation in it.
Yeah, it takes the texture and it just moves it in any direction. So you can create very mild forms of animation, if it could even be called that. It's kind of just a scrolling effect.
All right.
So you can
So cool.
So you can mess it with it in that way. This one.
You need to leave that on, man. It looked like a slime there for a second, like something I wanted to go hit with a sword.
Let's do it then.
That's just so neat.
So you can change the speed.
See, as you get closer, it would be cool if when the animation starts getting faster, almost like the lighting of a squid when they start changing colors rapidly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, actually it looks good.
Yeah.
Especially if it was moving forward.
Uh-huh.
There we go. Okay, we'll keep it that way. And how big do you think this is? How big the slime should be?
I mean, that's a big slime, right? I'm used to like EverQuest slimes, which are level 1, and they're these little itty.
This is supposed to be a.
But this would be like a big time slime, which is kind of cool. I like the idea of a bigger version of it. You know, a bigger version of the blob.
You can actually manipulate.
Now, if you wanted to change the size of it, is that something you have to do in Blender, or do you do it
Here's
here?
the size on the side. So I selected the object. You can do it either in Blender. I prefer it to export the model, though, at the correct size to begin with. So, but you can do stuff like this. So 0.5
so you just
is
change it from 1 to 0. How cool! So you could change the size of your monster right here.
Yeah.
So you know a lot of games that like to cheat in their monster creation when it's like, oh, you're going to fight a small version of this, and then later on in levels you're going to fight this humongous version of it. That's how you would do it.
That's one way of doing it, definitely. And let's figure out why this did not save. I had it right. I don't think I hit save on the material. There we go.
Nice. Look at that.
That should have saved it.
I love that. That is so cool. Now we almost got a living, moving monster.
Get away! Oh my gosh!
Kill it! Kill it with fire! All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Chad. I think this second video was very interesting. Number one, we got to play around with the slime and turn it from a UFO into something that actually looks like a slime. You got to see some quick little animations you could add in, which was very cool. We added some textures in to make it look more detailed. Look at all those default weapons. You just throw the gun at it. Oh, those are turrets. All right, nice. You're just going to kill it. So in the next videos, what are some things you think we're going to cover?
I wanted to do some animations. So I wanted to show you how you rig this so that we can begin making it move. And that's before that's before we even add the artificial intelligence. So you have to add artificial intelligence. It's not going to be, it's going to be state machine based, so it's not going to be neural network or anything bizarre. It's going to be very simple, like an on-off traffic light type of scenario.
That's a video to be on the lookout for. That's going to be super cool. So leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. Are these videos helping you? I know some folks on the other videos, you already died, man.
I know.
Some folks on the other videos were saying that it inspired them to try out some different game engines. They just didn't know if they were going to use Torque, Unity, or something else. I told them that that's something you constantly struggled with, the question as well.
Yep,
and you're still struggling with whether you're going to keep with it. The thing is, once you commit to one of these engines, it's like committing to a programming language.
Right.
And it's very hard to switch, but there are pluses and minuses to all of these game engines. And it just really is which one speaks to you and to the project that you have. My recommendation, I don't know if you agree with this, was really for them to look at the forums for the type of game that they're creating and see if there's a lot of support out there.
That is actually, the community is the most important thing. You almost have to have an ability to foresee where this engine is going. Have the developers kind of dropped it, but still has a community. That's still a problem in my personal opinion. You have to have not only a community, but also that there's definitely developer support on it. That's continual, and you have to kind of feel it out to see if you think this engine, because you're probably going to be working on a game for a few years. You don't want to have an engine and have everything created and all of a sudden there's no more support, and then there's a new Windows update, which has happened, that would require a deep understanding of that engine in order to fix the problems that it has caused. So especially happened with 32-bit versus 64-bit. So anytime you double-click an icon for a program and it comes up, do you really want to load this? It's because of that certain exploit that had to be undone. And some of the older engines, there was no more support for it, so the engine doesn't work anymore at all. So you have to make sure that there is support, not only of the developers, but also that there's a strong community of support as well.
What's the game engine besides Torque that calls to you that you're interested in? So Chad's top two, in case you're looking at checking out engines, which ones would they be?
Well, I'd say it's between, I would say Unreal. Unreal is just, for the type of game that I want my game to be a lot more graphical.
And I heard Unreal went free, really. Well, until you go to release, I think.
Right. So I think there's, you have to also, yeah, that's a good point, though. You have to make sure, let's say you made a game in this engine. Determine what they require out of you. Do they want 5-10% of each sale? What are the requirements? Torque, it's completely yours, and that includes the source engine. So any game you make out of Torque, it's completely 100% yours. You don't have to pay anybody anything. So that's one consideration why I like Torque a lot. Unity, I know, has its stipulations. Unreal has its stipulations, and if it seems to be a good thing, then go ahead and do it.
So if you want to release a free game, probably don't want to pay that money to those other game engines potentially, or at least you want to find out what their rules are to see if that's going to apply to a free game, etc., so that you're not spending $5,000 to release a game nobody's going to pay for. So good information. Thank you all for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Show some love. Hit subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Check out Gods and Nemesis. Check out Gods and Nemesis on Steam if you like alpha testing games, right? If you're somebody who wants a fully complete game right now, then Gods and Nemesis is still being worked on. It's still in pre-release alpha or whatever they call it.
Right.
And so it's meant for you to test and find bugs and tell Chad about it and all that stuff.
I will fix them.
He is fixing them. He's spending a lot of time with them, but it's really important that it's in pre-release alpha because a lot of people don't seem to understand us. So go check out the game if that's something that you're interested in. Like, we'll continue working on this slime. If you give enough love to the videos, we are so close, like just a little bit, centimeter away from 2,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button. And until next time, get out there and fill your brains.
Don't get subscribed. Does not like the video.